Dear students, in this video, I'm going to explain one important essay by Virginia Woolf, and that is Professions for Women. Now, Virginia Woolf, whose name is so important that whenever we discuss the feminist movement, we always discuss the ideas and thoughts given by Virginia Woolf. Woolf, a famous novelist and critic of 20th century. She belongs to the transitional age, that is a part between the later part of the Victorian age and the Edwardian age. Until her death at the age of 59, she published several novels, feminist essays, and delivered two important lectures at Cambridge about women and fiction. She is a pioneer of one innovative technique of novel called stream of consciousness novel, and she has written many novels based on that technique. We're going to analyze the essay, where you'll find out the role of a woman in Victorian society and how that role is going to be rejected by Virginia Woolf. Women in the Victorian society had one main role in life, which was to marry and take part in their husband's interest and business. Before marriage, they would learn housewife skills such as weaving, cooking, washing, and cleaning, unless they were of a wealthy family. So in this essay, what should a woman do to achieve the target? She beautifully explains it. So let us now discuss the essay. Now, women in the Victorian age, especially say after 1800 or so, they were given a term, they were given a phrase. They were called angel of the house. And they were called angel of the house because of their home-bound, responsibilities and role. Home was considered the center of virtue and the proper life for women. Here in this context, I am reminded of famous lines by Alfred Lord Tennyson, a Victorian poet. He wrote a poem called Princess. And in the poem, the beautiful lines are there, and they denote the role of a woman in Victorian society. And the lines are: man for the field, woman for the hearth. Man for the sword and for the needle she. Man with the head and woman with the heart. Man to command and woman to obey. All else confusion. You hear the specification of the roles of man and a woman. Man for the sword and for the needle tree. man for the field and woman for the hearth, man with the head and woman with the heart, man to command and woman to obey. Now, whenever you discuss Virginia Woolf, we're talking about feminism because she's a feminist writer. And quite simply, feminism is about all genders having equal rights, equal opportunities. It's about respecting diverse women's experiences, identities, knowledge, and strength, and also to empower women to realize their full rights. This is what we mean by feminism. If you look at some biographical detail of the life of Virginia Woolf, you'll find out that she was a troubled writer who is as famous for her struggle with mental illness as for her writing. There were two major incidents in Virginia's youth that caused serious mental breakdowns. One was her mother's death in the year 1895, and 7 years later, her father's death of cancer. After recovering from this mental crisis, Woolf enjoyed her new independence, traveling to Spain and Italy, accompanied by her sister Vanessa and her brother Thobby, who also died after some time. Now, Woolf has been recognized for her philosophical musings on literature, sex, and gender. And the most important work is A Room of One's Own. This is a non-fictional work. She's famous for this important work, A Room of One's Own. It's a non-fictional work. Now, she became a powerful voice in the feminist movement because most of the ideas are taken from, her writings. As you know, when you read the biography of Virginia Woolf, then you'll find out that she has rich historical and cultural connections. Her father's first wife was the daughter of William Thackeray. Thackeray is a great novelist of Victorian age who wrote Vanity Fair. He is a very prominent Victorian novelist. She was a member of a group called Bloomsbury Group. This is a very famous group of 20th century. Bloomsbury Group. And in this group, we have some prominent personalities like a great novelist, E.M. Forster, Lytton Strachey, and also Leonard Woolf, who became her husband. So she belongs to this intellectual group which is called Bloomsbury Group. She was also a diarist. Woolf's life, it was so, full of ups and downs. It was, fictionalized in a novel called The Hours. This is the name of the novel, Hours, Hours, by Michael Cunningham. Michael Cunningham. It was published in 1998. And it was so popular that it was, adapted into a movie. And this film was released in the year 2002. And Nicole Kidman, who performed her role, the role of Virginia Woolf, won an Oscar Prize for that. So, because my purpose was that you must know about Virginia Woolf also before, knowing about the essay Professions for Women. Because she's sharing her experiences also. And in the modern time, in the 21st century, we see that so many rights are given to women. It is only because of the movements, because of the ideas, because of the thoughts, because of the motivation of the great writers that we find such kind of change in society. And today, we are lucky and we see how women are coming in the front, how girls are performing in various fields. In the year 1932, Woolf delivered a lecture to the National Society for Women's Service, which was later edited and published in an essay collection. And it was entitled Professions for Women, which we are going to study. Now, this speech encourages women to struggle for their professional goals, but be aware of challenges that will always exist for women. Virginia Woolf, who was already a successful author, tells her audience about the difficulties, about the problems, about the barriers which she faced while forging a writing career. Initially, she was troubled and haunted by a phantom, the Victorian feminine ideal embodied by the heroine of the famous poem, The Angel in the House. The Angel in the House. With reference of this poem. Now, the phrase, the angel in the house, was actually the title of a narrative poem written by Coventry Patmore, a 19th century English poet and literary critic. Now, Patmore is best known for his book of the poetry, The Angel in the House, a narrative poem about the Victorian ideal of a happy marriage. And Virginia Woolf later appropriated it satirically in the essay. Patmore's poem, written about his wife, represents an ideal of femininity as pure, self-sacrificing, and utterly devoted. First to her parents, and then to her husbands. Patmore says, and the lines are very, significant. Patmore says, man Yes. Man must be pleased. Man must be pleased, but him to please is woman's pleasure. The angel in the house was the type of woman that most women were expected to be in the 19th century. She was supposed to be selfless and sacrificial, whose sole purpose was to flatter, soothe, and comfort the males of the world's population. Woolf was constantly distracted by the angel, who was intensely sympathetic. She was utterly unselfish. She excelled in the difficult arts of family life. She sacrificed herself daily. If there was a chicken, she took the leg. In short, she was so constituted that she never had a mind or a wish of her own, but preferred to sympathize always with the minds and wishes of others. Woolf's writing, or anyone's work for herself and not the household, took her away from the duties of a stereotypical self-sacrificing caretaker. To the angel, nothing was hers. Everything was in relation to others. Most importantly, she did not harbor any healthy adult sexual desire. The angel advises Woolf to be sympathetic, be tender, flatter, deceive, use all the arts and wiles of her sex. Never let anybody guess that you have a mind of your own. Above all, be pure. Now Woolf confesses that she killed the angel and does so repeatedly. She cannot accept this kind of role of a woman as angel was doing. Self-sacrificing, humble, submissive, surrendering. And she says that I do it repeatedly to continue pursuing my career. And she implies to her audience that they will need to do the same. Additional difficulties they will confront are constraints by patriarchal society. And if you want to lead an emancipated life, then you have to fight for all such kind of things. Now, as Woolf wants her audience that there will always be obstacles for women in any profession. Even when the path is nominally open, when there is nothing to prevent a woman from being a doctor, a lawyer, a civil servant, there are many phantoms and obstacles, as I believe, looming in her way. Despite these challenges, her advice to the women in her audience is to take advantage of any tools you have to strive for your professional goals. You have one rooms of your own in the house, hitherto exclusively owned by men. You are able, though not without great labor and effort, to pay the rent. You are earning your 500 pounds a year. But this freedom is only a beginning. The room is your own, but it is still bare. It has to be furnished. It has to be decorated. It has to be shared. How are you going to furnish it? How are you going to decorate it? With whom you are going to share it? And upon what terms? These, I think, are the questions of the utmost importance and interest. For the first time in history, you are able to ask them. For the first time, you are able to decide for yourselves what the answers should be. In this speech by Virginia Woolf, she talks about the need to kill the angel in the house. The angel in the house is the ideal of womanhood at that time. And there are two important aspects which Virginia Woolf is talking about. The woman is an angel, and second is she is in the house. As you know, in the Victorian age, women were confined within the four walls of the houses. So a woman has to come out, a woman has to surrender the role of the angel and strive for achieving her goals. Women who conform to this sort of ideal of self-sacrifice cannot devote the time and energy to their work necessary for creation of great art. Because the angelic ideal always mandates that they put men and family ahead of their own projects. She expands this concept by suggesting a woman must have money and a room of her own if she is to write fiction. This is a line by Woolf. A woman must have money and a room of her own if she is to write fiction. Something incompatible with the ideal of the angel in the house, whose role is to nurture her family and serve as a moral exemplar. Use your empty room, income, freedom, autonomy, and any kind of freedom they afford to work and reach for professional and creative rewards. Woolf reportedly wrote in her diary that this speech was like a sequel to her non-fictional work, as I told you in the beginning, A Room of One's Own. And her message is, you have the room, now adorn and utilize it for your own purpose. So the essay is actually a message for the women that they have to leave the role of an angel and they have to come out of their home. If they want to achieve their goal, they have to strive, and on the way, so many difficulties will come, but they have to overcome them. They have to surrender the role of the angel whose role is of self-sacrificing, surrendering, submissive, and humble role in the family. You have to give it up, you have to come out and try to achieve your target. Thank you very much.